Hola y bienvenidos. Hello and welcome to Take It to Life. I am Henry and I welcome all new listeners. And if you are new to Take It to Life, I want to welcome you again. And FYI, I will talk about everything and anything that life has to offer. So I hope I want to let you know, thank you again, just for making time to listen and allowing me to be part of your life. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, a life coach, a therapist, or a guru. These are just my opinions and I'm sticking to them. A lot of people may not agree with them, but guess what? That's okay. We all have different opinions on different things. But I do thank you for listening and thank you for giving me a chance to listen to Ticket to Life. Um, uh, just to let you know, my very first podcast was almost 3 years ago, which is nuts. But if you want to know a little bit more about me, that will be on Ticket to Life on any podcast platform. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Just look Ticket to Life and you'll see my lovely picture. Uh, anyway, thank you again. But so today we're going to be talking about temptation. We are all guilty at one time or the other that we have been tempted. And yet someone right now, as you are listening, as I am speaking, is being tempted by something or someone. But before we start, I just want to let you know that you can also listen to Ticket to Life on, this is a new thing, on YouTube. They have audio. They don't have Google Podcasts anymore. So if you are listening to Google Podcasts, well, I'm no longer on there. Now it's on YouTube. But the other thing is I would love to hear from any of you. So if you're listening from a lot of people, they show you the graphs where people listen from, mostly from the phone or computer. So now I have fan mail. So if you listen on the phone or the computer, and I want you to know that I would love to hear from you, and you will remain anonymous. So if you get nasty, I hope not, on fan mail, I will never know who you are. Or if you decide to be loving and kind and offer a suggestion for the show, you can. Just wanted to share that with you. But again, if you're tempted to share a story, please feel free. Or if there's a certain topic you'd like for me to talk about that I can hopefully know something about, or I will do my research because I'm all about the research. And you'll find, again, fan mail in the description of the podcast. And I will not cry if you are hateful. I would hate for you to be hateful. But if, you think this podcast or this radio, I'm also on the radio in Atlanta, Dallas, Georgia. So, you just be honest. It's all about honesty. I think I probably am too happy for a lot of people, and that's okay. I may be a little bit too outspoken, and that's okay too. But anyway, there's fan mail, and if you'd like, feel free to hit the button on, again, it doesn't reveal your name, it doesn't reveal email, phone number, nada, nothing. You are only assigned a number, and that's all I will ever see, plus your remark. So I would love to hear from you, except from the scammers. A prince requested that we be friends on Facebook the other day. I was so honored, but I don't think so. Was I tempted to reply? If I was 14, maybe, but no, I passed. So be careful of those scammers. They're everywhere. They're just everywhere. Now, it's not easy, but for someone, it may be easy to pass something like that. But I think the temptation that someone would like to be a friend from a far off country is, wow, the what if for some might come into play and saying, oh, it won't hurt if I reply, and see what it could be, if it was real or not. So if you're tempted, I have a lake lot in the Sahara that I can sell you. because I don't think I could sell it for a good price, but I really don't think a prince is reaching out to me. So, and military men, there's just weird. So beware of scammers. I've got several podcasts on scammers and love scams. So just be careful out there. We all know, as I have said in the past, that we know right from wrong. But for some, the littlest thought of the what if it's a real thing, of a temptation, if it's there. Now, many of you may think that I'm talking about the temptation of being with someone other than your spouse or significant other. Well, let's talk about what temptation really is. And it is, I mean, cheating is there. And a lot of people are tempted to cheat. And yeah, I have a story in a little bit about cheating. But anyway, temptation is a number of things. It can be an overindulging in eating or drinking, excessive time online, and nonstop venting on social media or just being on social media. Gossip. Oh yes, I've been there. And dishonesty, cheating, envious, jealousy, watching porn, skipping work, procrastinate. Because I'm not going to lie, I was procrastinating to do this podcast. I've had it. I wrote up my notes. You should not have any notes, but geez, I was really rambling then. But if you think I'm rambling now, I was used to ramble even more. But anyway, it's a number of things. And again, it's pretty much doing something that you know is wrong and getting away with it, or hoping to get away with that temptation when you follow through on it. So what are you tempted to do right now? I hope it's something that you can refrain from, such as if you need to turn this podcast off or turning the radio off for the listeners in the car and not hearing me out because you might be afraid that I might hit a nerve. Obviously, wanting to do something that you know is wrong and is a temptation. So why are we tempted? And why do some follow through and some don't? And do we really think about the afterwards consequence or consequences? When you're in that moment, unfortunately, we don't think. The danger of temptation can lead to some serious things happening in your life and others, even death. Now, that sounds a little crazy and that sounds a little deep, but it's true. So here's the true story that I'm about to share. And the names, as usual, have been changed to protect the innocent, or maybe they aren't that innocent. That would not be very cool, would it be? That's why we changed the names, especially when they gave you permission to share the story. So Fiona is her name. That's what we're calling her again. And she decides to go and meet someone online. Now, Fiona's married, and her marriage is good, but not that good. And she knows that she will not stray away. She took those vows. All she wants is someone to talk to other than her spouse, family, friends. Okay, she wants to flirt. Pretty much that's all she wanted, just a little flirting, make her feel young again. But she swears she will not get involved. Her love for her family is way too important to mess anything up. Okay. Well, of course, excuse me, of course, she meets someone, and now she continues to speak to this guy. And all she wants is some extra attention. It doesn't have to be face-to-face, meet up, just someone to talk to. Remember, well, no, a lot of you won't remember this, but back in the day, they used to have pen pals. So you would, I don't know how you connected with people, and then you would write them letters and you became friends. So I guess she thought they were going to be pen pals. Of course, you hear that like within prisons now, where people contact people in prison and fall in love. But anyway, sorry, got sidetracked. And just for the new listeners, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD or ADD or something, because my mind goes from thing to thing. So that's a just heads up. Anyway, No, I have not been diagnosed with it. But anyway, back to this. Sorry, I don't think you need to know my health history. So she wants to flirt. She meets up. She doesn't want to mess her marriage up, okay? And she wants to flirt, but swears she will not get involved because it's going to be online. It's innocent because, you know, her family's too important. Well, of course, she meets this person, not person to person. Just I don't even think they ever did FaceTime or anything. They would just chat online. They would chat on the phone, and like I said, she just needed that extra attention. Well, I'm not sure why she didn't talk to her husband. Uh, I guess she never heard of communication in a relationship and how important it is because it's so important. So she never meets her online lover, but gets his address and sends him money. Now, here's the thing. He never asked for money. Now, if you do get into a scam thing, they're always asking for money. So that's where you need to beware. Now, he never asked for money, but she wanted him to go buy something for himself from her. Or, oh, important thing here, he's married too, and he has a family. Let me throw that in there. So where she gets the money, she's worried, where am I going to get this money? Because her husband, she doesn't want him to notice money's missing from the account. So she comes up with a brilliant idea. And another thing I forgot to mention is that she works around money and with money. And yes, she was in charge of petty cash for the large company she worked for. So she kept the petty cash. She took care of it. No, you trust people. So she receives the money, she takes the money, and she's so excited. So she gets I guess a certified check. I think that's what they're called. I don't think a money order. I don't know, something like that. I think certified checks. And she sends it to him. And she's so excited that he's going to go buy something, and he lets her know that his car's falling apart, and that's what he used the money for repairs. Now, I don't know how much money. She didn't tell me that. So she was really hoping. Fiona's here, she's so excited. She thinks he's going to go buy a shirt or something that every time he wears it, he's going to think of her. So she said, I will put the money back. So she said she did, and no one knew the difference until she realized she was being a foolish woman. Now, Fiona and her husband are still together, and their kids are in college now, but she has regrets. She said it just started off with just being tempted, like, oh, well, it's not going to hurt. And still she can't believe she did it. So her online fling went on for not 1 year, not 6 months, but for 3 years. 3 years. Holy smokes, 3 years you don't get back. And I think that she just needed to get it off her chest. And yes, she said again that I needed to share this story. In hopes that other men and women don't get tempted to do this. Some might say, I'm so lonely in my relationship and I need someone to talk to. Maybe consider talking to your significant other and tell them how you're feeling. And then when they say, I think we're fine. No, you tell them you're not fine. Tell them how you're feeling. Tell them, what you need. Unfortunately, her husband found out, which caused more trouble than the online fling was worth. But fortunately, they, again, went to marriage counseling. And again, from my point of view, communication is the main thing in a relationship to keep it going. Because, your partner or whoever, they are not mind readers. I'm not a mind reader. My husband's not a mind reader. But not sure where I heard this somewhere. And it says when tempted, but it was about temptation. Don't feed temptation, starve it. Walk away from it. Now, that's easier said than done for some, and temptation can ruin a life, and some follow through with whatever and think it will never catch up with them. but it will be in the back of your head knowing what you did. So in the Bible, in 1 Corinthians 10:12 through 13, it tells us that no one is immune to temptation. No one, nothing, nobody. And it might feel like you can just sweep this under the rug after you follow through with or whatever. But you will know. You will know what you have done. And it will bother you. It will. But no one is immune to temptation. No one. That's powerful. Just to know it's not just you. It might feel like you cannot or that you can get away with it, but you know what? It's just hard. Temptation is so stinking hard because it is out there. So I will tell you, even if you never share it with anyone, God knows, and you know He knows. And trying to forgive yourself will probably be the hardest thing to do, no matter what it is you're trying to get away from with temptation. Now, temptation can mean so many different things, like I said, to each individual, because we're all different. We feel that desire and yet excitement of getting away with something that we know is wrong. And you think, oh, well, why food? Yes, some people get so excited to eat. Some people get so excited to drink. Some people get so excited to gossip. They like that bit of feeling naughty. And some people like it. Now, some might say we are not sinners because we are human and we just have this need of what being tempted, and we have to just live with it. And that's true. This is where your willpower comes in, and you can think about feeding it or starving it. And starving is harder than we think when it's temptation or doing right from wrong. We know that's it. And yes, you can say, oh, I'll pray about it and maybe it'll just go away. But you're going to pray about it, and God already knows what you did or what you're planning or thinking about doing. So pray for strength of your human power to walk away. Now, I know some people think, well, how is she always talking about God? And she's talking about these other things, because these are things in life. We are faced with so many trials and tribulations in life that it is part of life. And it's hard to make simple decisions onto, should I go through with it or should I not go through with it? It's easier for us to give advice to someone. But then when you're put in that situation, you're like, oh, I've had friends that have said, I've done something wrong, or I'm thinking about it. And then they follow through and then they feel horrible. And then their friend who said, no, don't do it, is doing the same thing years later. And it's really hard to give. I don't know, is this advice? This is just life? I don't know, but it's wrong. And we are tempted each and every day by something. Not everyone. But remember, some temptations can be dangerous, perhaps harmless at first, but could lead to something worse later. And could affect those you love and care for. It could affect your job. Trust me, Ticket to Life, Henrie, I have no stones to cast at anyone. I have been tempted. I have followed through in life. I know, I like to say I'm growing up at 66. You are growing up. You should be grown up. But it is, those temptations are still there. And I don't mean cheating again. I think it's really crazy, because when you talk about temptations to people, the majority of the people will think cheating. So it's so many things, like I've said. And of course, we are tempted. So let's put it this way. If Jesus can be tempted in the desert, why shouldn't we be tempted with something such as food? Tempted to hear our inner voice, for us to hurt ourselves. And all that depression will be gone. Or be offered a kingdom or money to fill your life. by doing something wrong. I know it all sounds good, but remember, money and kingdoms of gold do not buy happiness. And if you can't take it with you, why do you want it? So, well, if Jesus can walk away from sin, why can't we? It won't be easy, but nothing in life is ever easy. But people would say, but he was Jesus. Of course he was going to walk away. No, remember, he was in human form. He didn't have to walk away, but he did. And if he can do it, got to take a deep breath. We can do it. I say a lot, growing up is hard. It is. It is a hard thing because you enjoy your life as a young person and you really have no worries. If you come from a good family and your parents are providing for you, you never think of what's going to be down the road. And some people may be tempted to do something just to fit into a group. And temptation will be there probably till the day we die. Who knows? I'm pretty sure it is. We are tempted to say things, and then sometimes you may spew and just say it to someone, and then you regret it. I'm raising my hand. I do that all the time. I'm tempted, and sometimes I've gotten a lot better, and I have said this in past podcasts. I've gotten a lot better. Maybe this is what this podcast is for my spewing. I can tell you all around the world how I feel about certain things and hopefully not hurt anyone's feelings because I am not about hurting feelings. So my question to you that you can reply on fan mail is, what have you been tempted about or with? Or what are you being tempted with right now? Is there something in your life or someone tempting you to do something you don't want to do? That's where you do have to use your superpower of being strong and saying no. And saying no is a very small word, but yet it's a very hard word to say. I have a podcast on just learn to say no. As you get older, you will realize it's okay to say no. And you know what? If people get bent out of shape when you say no, they'll get over it. And if they don't, they're not worth having in your life because you are worth so much. Each individual is here for a reason. And unfortunately, growing up is hard, as I have said, but making the right decision is harder sometimes. But if you can help yourself to make those right decisions, right choices, and it's going to affect someone else, just remember, you're doing it for you. It is hard to say no, like I said. It wasn't until probably 10 years ago. I can say no now. Someone asks me something, I say no. If I don't want to do it, it's no. Can you come with us? No, I can't go. Why? Well, you know what? You don't need to give people an answer. You just say no. Oh, I just can't. Done and done. Don't, because if you say I don't want to be around you. Now you might want to, that's my spewing. Don't do that. You'll hurt their feelings. But anyway, so temptation is the desire to do something, especially something wrong or unwise. That's the definition I found. So if you're thinking about doing something and you know it will make you feel shameful later, then don't do it. Have you ever done something in your life and after you've done it, you were so ashamed? And some might say, I got caught up in the moment. Trust me, I've done that. I've gotten caught up in the moment. And then I felt shameful afterwards. Again, we know right from wrong. Our parents hopefully taught us right from wrong. And growing up, the world has just changed so much. I don't care if you're in your, we're going to say 30s, 40s, 50s, and on up. From the time you were in high school, in your 20s, Man, has the world changed. It's crazy out there. That's why we have to make good decisions. It's a good thing. And I said it in my last podcast, and it was from the movie Jesus Revolution. The mom in there says, don't quote me, but it was something like lies. No. It's the truth is quiet and lies are loud. And that is so true. And that is so true when you are tempted. Tempted to do something that you know is wrong, or tempted that you know your mom and dad wouldn't approve of. No, but we are, that is one thing. And sometimes those lies just get bigger and bigger and bigger to hide the truth. But the truth is quiet a lot of times. But then haven't you ever noticed when someone finds out the truth, they're like, wow, did not expect to hear that coming. I mean, I have heard some stories that I could share with you that would make your toes curl and literally hurt. I mean, hurt. Because I have said also in the past, a lot of people share stories with me and I just listen. And it's embarrassing because some people are, I love hearing stories, but some people are like, I am so embarrassed, but I just have to tell you this. And I'm like, oh, please don't tell me. Now, I am thrilled that people can share things with me and feel comfortable with me. That's why a lot of times I do share these stories and I change the names. Luckily, I do have several friends that listen to my podcast, but I'm really thankful that not all of them listen to my podcast. That sounds horrible, but I am being very honest because they were like, oh, are you talking about me? Because I've had one situation and I have mentioned that I was talking about someone or their family, but I did get permission. I did get permission from one person and say, I just heard Henrie's podcast. Was she talking about us? No. Well, then I don't listen to my podcast the second time after I record it and edit. I don't listen to it. But I had to go back and listen to that. And I thought, oh, I could be talking about my own family. Wait, I hope they didn't hear it. But anyway, always be careful with what you say. Be careful when you're tempted to say something. But again, temptation. We know right from wrong. We know good from bad. And we don't want to do things that will shame us or shame our family. So anyway, thank you for listening. This is Henrie. I hope to get some fan mail or email at tickettolife022@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X. I'm out there. So until next week, can't wait to see you then. And thank you so much for listening. Go find your blessings.